This is where it ends. MCC, a metal cot. The whole empire reduced to this. Every door in that world was yours to open. In here, you don't hold the keys. You flew above every problem money could solve. This storm was different. From the air, the island looked like paradise. It never was. Jeffrey Epstein built a surveillance system to control others. Now it watched him. Every morning, concrete walls, one window, no power, no staff. Those keys down the hall, they used to mean something different to you. There's still a note on the table. He's still trying to negotiate. There's no one left to negotiate with. It didn't start here. Go back. Brooklyn, a classroom. Jeffrey Epstein was just watching back then. He saw people as equations, numbers with uses. It started that early. He adjusted his cuff like someone important was already arriving, that someone was him. One handshake with the right person. The mask went on. It never came off. He walked into every room like nothing could touch him. For decades, nothing did. That address book wasn't a contact list, it was a weapon. He bought a Manhattan townhouse and filled it with secrets thicker than the walls. You step inside and feel it. This place isn't a home, it's a machine built for control. Corridor after corridor, lock after lock. Every door in this house answered to Jeffrey Epstein. A key turns, a latch clicks. He called it privacy, others called it something else. Ghislaine Maxwell moved in and never left. Calm, precise. She ran the operation with him. She handed over folders, like invoices, to both of them. That's all they were. Palm Beach, perfect driveway, perfect facade. The shadow spilling from the front door told a different story. Inside, Ghislaine guided victims through the halls. Jeffrey stayed back. He was always careful to stay back. Someone held a white mask with trembling hands. Fear, dressed up and handed a prop. The door closed. Jeffrey didn't look away. He never looked away. He installed cameras in the ceilings, not for security, for leverage. Sealed envelopes, contact cards, stacked like trophies, no faces, just access points. The money felt like freedom. It was always a chain. He just refused to feel the weight. Standing on that rooftop, Manhattan glittered below. He built this trap himself. He was proud of it. The jet was always fueled, always ready. There was always somewhere else to go. Back then, Ghislaine fixed her earring without a word. Jeffrey gripped the seat. They both knew what waited on that island. Lightning hit the window. His reflection looked back, less certain than the man behind it. You step off the boat onto the island like owning the world is normal. Jeffrey did for a while. The path looked perfect, manicured, controlled. He didn't think about who was watching. The temple stood bright in the sun. The shadows underneath it never matched the paint. Stone corridor, narrow walls, a white mask at the far end. Always a white mask. Ghislaine Maxwell's smile never reached her eyes. Jeffrey noticed. He never cared. He switched the camera on with one hand. Red light click. Another file, more leverage. Grainy footage, a masked figure crossing the hall. His archive growing, his exposure too. Shadow bars from the blinds crossed both their faces. He didn't see the pattern yet. He pressed that address book to his chest like it could protect him. It couldn't. Florida. 2008. Jeffrey Epstein walked those courthouse hallways like the law was written for other people. He signed the paperwork. He left that building smiling. The countdown had already started. He didn't know it. Years passed. Calendars turned. Ghislaine kept everything organized. Order was their religion. But a reporter had the folders, the old photos, the paper trail he thought was buried. One click of a recorder in a room he didn't control, louder than anything he ever built. He watched the coverage start from his own living room. His smile tightened for the first time. His shadow on the wall stretched wide and dark, shaped like something predatory. It always had been. He moved through the private terminal fast. Too fast. The kind of speed that looks like running. An agent stepped forward, raised one hand, said nothing, Didn't have to. And for the first time in decades, you stop. You actually stop. Not afraid of prison, afraid of disappearing, afraid of becoming no one. Ghislaine Maxwell didn't flinch, chin up, clutch tight. She gave them nothing. Cold metal near the wrists. Everything Jeffrey called control had a different name now. Long fluorescent hallway, federal agents on both sides. His shoulders had never looked smaller. Back in MCC, no folder, no staff, no exit strategy, just a room that doesn't know his name. The surveillance camera stared at him, then the feed cut out. Even here, the system failed him. A guard slumped at the desk. Keys right there in reach, something shifted in the building that night. Long corridor, empty. A shadow moved at the far end, coming closer or going. He couldn't tell. He pressed his ear to the door, listening. For the first time, he needed information he didn't own. That island he built, fading on the screen now, the blue going gray. Paradise becoming something else. The address book goes into a hidden drawer. Out of sight, he told himself. Meant safe. Someone mounted a camera behind the wall trim. Careful, invisible, exactly the way Jeffrey worked. Ghislaine arranged white masks in velvet like they were everyday accessories. She made everything feel normal. Masked figures waited at the base of the staircase. They waited because Jeffrey built a world where people waited without. He watched it all from the upper landing. Distance was always his comfort zone. Truth was not. He sat too close to those monitors, watching footage only he was supposed to see. Fingers pressed together like a prayer. He was praying to a system he'd built himself. Page after page in that book, name after name, Jeffrey Epstein showed mercy to no one. A brass latch clicked shut. That specific sound was his favorite control, compressed to a click. The jet cut through storm clouds. He told himself he was above it, he was inside it. The cabin felt narrower than usual. Even Ghislaine was quiet. The air tasted like something ending. From the window, the island looked perfect. Pretty bright. Wrong in a way photographs couldn't capture. The temple again, Jeffrey saw architecture. The world was beginning to see something else. Ghislaine guided a masked figure down the path with one small gesture. Practiced, like she'd done it 100 times. A shelf lined with white masks, stacked perfectly, props for a performance the audience didn't know about. Keys pressed into his palm hard enough to leave a mark. He had stopped noticing marks long ago. The CCTV footage glitched. A white mask crossed the edge of the frame and vanished, his own system, deleting. He used to stack cash like he was stacking freedom. Now it looked like links in a chain. He sat alone at the head of that massive table. Every chair around him empty. He practiced his smile in a dark window, alone rehearsing the version of himself the world was supposed to believe. Ghislaine leaned toward a powerful silhouette at a party. Voice low, eyes hard. She was always working. He slammed the drawer shut. The room gave nothing back. Even his anger had stopped mattering. Palm Beach looked perfect from the outside. The shadows inside pooled where they had no business being. Masked figures waited by the closed door. They waited because that's what Jeffrey Epstein's world required. Ghislaine's hand moved to the door handle. Slow, practiced. The same way it always did. His hand on the doorknob, knuckles white. The last door he actually controlled. The ceiling camera watched from above. Red dot in the marble below. His own system now aimed at him. Ghislaine closed the safe with quiet precision. Click, filed, as if hiding it made it not exist. The jet lifted off. The island shrank below. He watched everything he'd built get smaller. Somewhere, a journalist was typing without stopping. File boxes stacking ceiling high. The wall was closing in on Jeffrey Epstein. Someone had connected every dot, every name, every door he thought was sealed forever. He held his phone, screen black, thumb hovering. He couldn't call his way out of this. Federal agents walked toward him down that hallway. Steady, unafraid, they had everything they needed. You froze at the jet stairs, hand tight on the rail. Some part of you always knew this moment was, they moved him forward. No force, no drama, just Finally, Ghislaine Maxwell stood behind glass alone. Jeffrey looked for something in her face. There was nothing there. The courthouse hallway lit up with flashes, the kind of attention he could no longer manage. He gripped the metal table in that holding room like it was the last solid thing in the world. Cold bench, a shadow on the floor shaped like chain link. The atmosphere had permanently shifted. Steel intake doors he walked through, and the smirk 40 years of it was gone. Night in the cell. Eyes open, hands clasped, nothing left to plan. Nowhere left to run. The fluorescent tube above hummed and flickered. It never fully went dark. It never let him rest. The vent grill on the wall looked like a mouth. The cell felt like something breathing around him. Keys hung on a hook down the hall, swinging slightly. A reminder those aren't his keys anymore. An empty monitoring room, screen still glowing, static drifting in from the edges. One screen went black. A tear across the feed, like a wire cut or a decision made. A guard asleep at his desk. Coffee going cold. The system that protected Jeffrey Epstein, failing quietly, perfectly. The corridor stretched on. A shadow at the far end. Coming closer. He couldn't tell. His hands clasped tight like a prayer. Jeffrey Epstein stopped believing in rescue the day he decided he was. He watched the second hand on his watch catch the light. In here, minutes felt like hours. The address book, wrapped in chain, padlocked, sitting on a steel shelf, all that leverage out of reach. The temple's blue stripes dissolved into prison bar shadows. Two worlds, the same cage. Ghislaine Maxwell sat alone in a dark car. City lights crossed the glass like bars. Her hand held the clutch strap exactly as it always had. Calm, controlled. She was the one who didn't break. A white mask left on an elegant chair. Cold window light. No performance left, no one to wear it. Folders sliding off a shelf, a hand reaching out too late. Once things start falling, they fall. Newspapers scattered on a desk under a harsh lamp. The story was out, permanent, public. Camera flashes reflected off a polished hallway floor. His shadow in that light, it looked like something cornered. The smugness was gone. Just two things left behind his eyes: calculation and fear. He stood against the wall, hands raised slightly, still trying to negotiate with nothing. The food slot opened, a tray slid in. He grabbed it harder than he needed to. It was the only... A shadow passed under his door. Footsteps without faces. This was Jeffrey Epstein's world now. A key turned in a lock down the hall, clean, irreversible. That sound used to belong to him. A silhouette at the door window, just a shape. Jeffrey, blurred behind bars, stared back. His hand reached toward the bars, trembling, got close, and stopped. The dome camera above flickered with a glitch, like something being erased in real time. Spilled coffee at the guard desk, keys scattered, quiet chaos, no witnesses, the same conditions Jeffrey used to create on the corridor blocked. Lights too harsh. Everything about this night felt arranged. Pale dawn through the barred window. Dust in the air. The world holding its breath. His hands finally still on the blanket. Not peaceful, just finished. That stillness was the most terrifying thing in this. An empty cot. His jacket folded at the edge. Left behind like a skin he no longer needed. The ceiling light swung slightly. Shadows crawled slowly across the concrete. The island from above, bright, warm, indifferent, like none of it ever happened there. Something dark moved just below the surface of the water. It never came up. Rain on the jet window, his reflection faint in the glass, like a ghost who already knows. The temple doorway sealed. Blue stripes in the sun, the shadow beneath it shaped like a mouth. Ghislaine Maxwell filed the last folder into the safe. Steady hands, blank face, order over truth. Always order over. She stacked the folders neatly. Organized, controlled, as if keeping things tidy could keep things contained. Jeffrey stacked his keys and leather folder on the table. Sharp, possessive, like weapons arranged before a battle already lost. The red indicator light dimmed slowly. The power Jeffrey Epstein spent a lifetime accumulating, quietly shutting off. Static swallowed the monitor, the picture dissolved. Whatever was recorded there, gone. He pressed his ear to the wall, listening for anything. A shift, a sound. A moment that still belonged to. Shallow breathing. Eyes on the thin line of light under the door. Waiting. Like everyone he made wait. His shadow stretched across the cell wall like a spider. It always looked like that. He just never had to. The chain pulled tight. Real panic in his fingers now. Not the calculated kind, just panic. The address book sank into dark water. The ripples spread, the names dissolved, the leverage gone. A white mask floated to the surface, turned slowly, and drifted away. There was no one left to wear it. Ghislaine Maxwell, half shadow, half cold light. Still composed, she would always be more composed than Jeffrey in the MCC corridor. Empty, long, and quieter than anywhere Jeffrey Epstein ever controlled. Keys jingling somewhere close, that sound used to mean power. Now it just meant someone else was coming. Every screen went dark, the feeds dead. Only the monitor glow remained, watching an empty room. The corridor ended at his door. Shadow pooled at the threshold. Nothing moved. Nothing needed to. The lock clicked shut. Cold metal. Clean sound.